again. I have been seeing on the news that there is a shortage of yeast, or a supposed shortage of yeast in some places. People are having a hard time getting it. So I am going to show you a very quick recipe. It's called beer bread. It's a quick bread. It does not require yeast. It is wonderful, and it is very quick. I know you'll enjoy it.
Houston, Tranquility Base here. The Eagle has landed.
Hello again. Today we are going to make the easiest, quickest bread you can possibly make. It's beer bread. So there's only a few ingredients. I have 3 cups of flour in my sifter. I'm going to add 3 tablespoons of sugar, 1 teaspoon of baking soda, 1 teaspoon of baking powder. We're going to sift this into the bowl. You want to have fresh bread with dinner. If you don't have a lot of time, you want something special to go with your meal, beer bread it is. So, flour in the bowl, beer, any beer you want. I am using Bavarian style wheat beer today. Pour it in. This is called a quick bread. So this is quick bread beer bread. So, anytime you have a quick bread, you're not going to knead it. You're not going to over stir it. You're just going to stir the beer in those ingredients. I have my flour and greased pan here. You can use any flavor of beer. If you use a dark beer, you're going to have a darker bread. If you use a sweeter beer, you're going to have a sweeter bread. You can use any kind of beer you want. Each one is going to be a different flavor. This is generally the first recipe I teach any of my woofers that are here in the summer. It's such an easy, quick recipe, and everybody loves it. So, flour, 3 cups of flour, 3 tablespoons of sugar, 1 teaspoon of baking powder, 1 teaspoon of baking soda, and a beer. Stirred up. Didn't over stir it. See, it's still kind of lumpy. It's fine. This is a quick bread. You just want to make sure that all the flour is incorporated and mixed. So, I always put a rimmed pan under my baking dishes. I have a flour. I greased and floured my bread pan, and I use the largest bread pan I have because I don't want it to overcook, go over the top. So I'm just pressing this down a little bit. The last thing we need, which goes along with love to make it the perfect bread, is butter. So you're just going to take a stick of butter, not margarine, it's got to be butter, folks, and put it on top. We're going to put this in the oven at 350. I have the oven preheated. I'm going to put it in the oven at 350. I'm going to turn it I'm going to set the oven for, we'll say, 20 minutes and see how it looks. It should take about 45 minutes to an hour depending on how your oven does. This is mine set on 350. I'm going to put this in the oven. I'll rotate it halfway through, and we'll see how it comes. The butter melts on the top of the bread, melts around the sides. It gives it a wonderful crust. Eating it warm with dinner is absolutely wonderful. Leftovers, if you have leftovers, it's not so good cold. The beer in there, it just has that weedy flavor, but it's really good toasted. So if you don't eat it all for dinner, then toast it for breakfast with a little cheese or for a snack. It's wonderful. Quick bread. Look at how quick that was. I'm going to put it in the oven now. Since that recipe was so quick, I'm going to give you a bonus. I made cornbread the other day. I had this cornbread mix that we got from our friend that was a give me when he moved. And it's good cornbread mix. I added a can of corn to the mix. So I made it in muffins. It tastes fine. It's just not great. So tonight I'm going to have ham and beans. So I'm going to take this cornbread and I'm just going to slice it in fingers. All I'm going to do is toast this. I have some wonderful nacho cheese mix, and I'm going to toast this so it's kind of crispy, and we'll use it and dip it in the nacho cheese to go So anytime you make something that you don't love, you don't have to eat it just because you made it, just because it's there. My philosophy is that we all deserve to eat really good food. So if it's not good, see what you can do to change it. I'm going to toast this. I bet with the butter and the corn and everything that's in there, it's going to be really good toasted with the nacho cheese sauce. We'll let you know how it goes. So here is the cornbread toast. It got nice and browned on both sides. I flipped it over after about 7 minutes. We're going to dip that in nacho cheese sauce, so it'll be yummy. So just to remind yourself, if you make something and you don't love it, think about what else you can do with it. Can you slice it up and change it? If the cake isn't sweet enough, do you want to cut it up and put some ice cream on it with pudding or something? You can always change what you do. It doesn't have to be the same thing all the time. So here's the beer bread out of the oven. It smells so good. It took about 45 minutes. You can see some of the butter melted on top, and the butter around the edges is bubbling and hot. So I'm going to let it set in this pan for probably 5-10 minutes. Let it cool, let all that liquid butter that's still melted soak back up into the bread before I take it out of the pan. So the beer bread has been sitting for about 10 minutes. We're going to loosen up the edges of the pan and then dump it out. This is really good and warm. It smells very lovely. So I'm just going to cut into it to show you. It's very moist. It's still hot. You really should let it cool a little bit, but we always end up eating it almost too hot with our meals because it's just so good. So you can kind of see the graining. You can see around the edges actually where the butter has soaked in. And I usually, because it is so rich, I usually cut it down the middle and then slice it like that because this slice is just a little big. But you will enjoy it. So quick, so easy, no yeast. Quick beer bread.